Guys, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we were doing the eighth question. This is week 7, a graded assignment.
Right.
I remember we doing store.state.products, right? This question we did, ideally. Do you remember? Yes?
Yeah. This one we do.
So, yes, you only take the next question. Right.
Okay. So inside a mutational handle, we will need to fill code one, which can be used to reduce the price of each of the products in the state
Hmm.
by a certain discount. Okay,
Okay.
so store which
Hmm.
have a discount to be of 10,
Mhm.
and products are apple at 20 and banana with price 16.
Correct.
Then we have the mutations below, which have a function reduce price of state, and we need
Hmm.
to type the code one. Okay.
Okay.
So we have seen this actually a little bit.
Yes.
So all the four options have same product price. It's just all about the first line of code. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So first one is this dollar state dot product dot for each. So since this dollar store is used, we don't really need to go like this because this dollar is anyway used for the shortcuts.
Hmm.
We can directly refer dollar state or something. He has used something like that. So A is incorrect.
Yeah.
Then B
Okay.
state
You
dot
all.
products.
Yeah, because we are doing it store.state, right? Like, what did you say? Why do we do like that?
We use dollar to have some shortcuts. For example, if you don't want to write like store dot state dot this dot that, we use dollar to directly refer to something.
Hmm.
So I don't actually exactly remember the keyword we use after dollar, but this one.
Right.
Then the second one is state dot products dot for each. So state dot products may work
Hmm.
because let me see the yeah. So inside the state dot products already, and we don't need to refer the store because we are already inside the store in the
Correct.
mutation.
Hmm.
So in the C it is commit dot products. So no, we need to do state dot products because commit is not any section inside the store.
Hmm.
However, later we need to commit it to save it to the database or state.
Okay. So, oh, okay. So basically, the state will just change it, right?
Yeah,
Temporarily.
yeah,
Commit will basically make the commit. Like, it's
yeah.
gonna store it to a database or save it somewhere.
Yes,
Correct?
I'm yet to finish this part completely, but what I have heard is that dispatch and commit is required after doing this change of state.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll
And same goes,
now we'll be exploring more about these, right?
yeah,
Further.
same
Hmm.
goes with the option D. Dispatch is not required there. So that
Yeah.
is it. So option D
Okay.
is correct.
Hmm.
Actually, yes,
Priyanka.
what you told, that this commit and products will be required to finally make the changes to the
No, not commit
data.
or products, not commit or products, just commit.
हाँ कमिट तो हम लोग यूज ही करते हैं ना एपीआई वगैरह में वी ऑलवेज यूज ना
Priyanka, English, please.
yeah what I was telling that we use commit no anyways in
Yeah. Actions.
in
The
API and
database.
everything to commit the changes that we are making. So I think
Mhm.
commit plays the same role here. I think is it?
No, yeah, right, correct.
Okay.
Commit is to just commit the variable that you need to store this value permanently now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't recall dispatch, what he said about dispatch.
And what did you tell regarding dollar?
Dollar, for example, there are so many nested sections like inside store you have state you have data, inside data you have something. So if you need to refer the most in a variable, you need to do that long thing, state dot store dot that this dot that. So
Correct.
to avoid that, the professor has introduced some shortcut using dollar. So using dollar, you can escape some of the levels.
So dollar is something like what is it? Variables, huh?
Yeah. So you can escape that levels, and you can
Priyanka,
directly refer to the
we'll look at
variables.
that. We'll
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at that when. All right. Yeah. So as of now, this question, the answer is B. I think it's okay
Yes.
with everyone, right?
Yes.
Ishita, Ayush Gupta?
Yeah.
Wait, okay. Yeah, Ishita, why don't you try this?
Okay. Which of the following statements is are correct?
Hmm.
So first is wait a second. Yeah, web manifests service workers are some characteristics of a PWA.
Hmm.
All SPAs and
So wait,
RPWAs.
wait, wait. First one, is it correct?
Uh, I
If
don't know what PWAs are.
okay, so PWA is similar to single page applications.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, but there is a
Huh.
difference. Versus SPA. Give me a second.
Hmm.
Hmm. What's the difference between PWA and SPA? So single page applications and PWA is progressive web applications.
Okay.
Okay, and they are saying that uh, lower development to cost, PWA more engagement. Okay, okay. So the difference between single page application and PWA is that, see, single page application. Let's say you're having like such a big file. Okay, do you
Hmm.
guys know what is single page application? I think everyone knows, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's just a single. You just from the server, you just respond with a single page, single HTML
Hmm.
file, and all the data rendering will happen in the same page, basically same HTML file, right?
Yeah.
So that's what a single page application. And progressive web app is basically, initially, once you get like 10 percentage of the website itself, it will like what give some uh, something like loading page.
Okay, okay.
So it'll look like you understand what I'm saying. So when the
Huh,
data
I
is
get it.
when the data is coming to us, so it keeps on increasing when the data as per the data is coming up.
Okay.
So that is called as progressive. I mean
Hmm.
progressive web app. Okay, as per the data is coming, it keeps on loading. Look at this, right? So if you want to see this, I think this might be an example. So
So
see
like
here,
the feeding page of Instagram or the YouTube page where the videos keep coming.
correct. So even this, look at this, right? So while we are dragging down, the data is coming, but we can see that little by little it is coming up,
Hmm.
right? So that's the difference between PWA and a single page application. Single page application means everything will get, I mean, will be rendered at the same time, right? You will get everything at the same time. But that's what is here. See, offers better performance and has ability to load the content and engagement features near instantaneously. So, so if you're going to click on this, exactly that portion alone will load fastly. For example, so let's say that if I want to go inside of this, whatever supposed to load for this, I mean, you will get more data about this. Okay, so rest of things you can load slowly, right? I'm not going to look into it as of now, right? So something like that.
Yeah, got it.
Good. Okay. So let's
So
see. Tell me.
web manifests and service workers are some characteristics of a PWA.
What
Uh,
is the web manifest?
I wait a second. Mm.
Hmm?
Yeah, I think web app manifest and service workers are the characteristics because it has three characteristics like
Mhm.
HTTPS, service workers, and web app manifest.
Okay. So you're saying that
Uh,
a PWA is having three applications or something. What did
yeah,
you say? Three
yeah, three
characteristics.
characteristics. Yeah,
What are they?
this web manifests, service workers, and HTTPS.
Okay.
And
Okay.
all SPAs are PWAs. Like SPAs can be PWAs.
Okay. SPAs can be PWA. You're right. But not all PWAs can be SPA.
Yeah, true.
Okay. That's what you're
Huh.
saying. SPAs
So
can
B
be.
is not correct.
So it says like all SPAs are PWAs, which is
Yeah,
not the case.
so Yeah. And a web worker is a script started by a web content that runs in the background, which can perform computations and fetch requests and communicate back messages to the origin web. Yeah, yeah, this is what a web worker does.
Yes, correct.
And then search engine optimization, managing browser history are some challenges of a SPA.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. I don't know
Yeah,
the
you
challenges
remember.
of SPA.
Yes, because you remember, like today morning we saw, right? Were you there in today's morning session?
No, but I watched the recording. Yeah.
Okay, you watched the recording. So when we
Hmm.
tried to go back, if you remember,
Hmm.
when we tried to go back, it was not coming up, right?
Yeah.
So that is what is, I mean, that's what managing the browser history. So it's a single page, right? So making, yeah, tell me, Ishita, did you understand that?
Yeah. 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 I got it. So ACD are correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anything else we want to discuss here, Priyanka, Aish?
See, but what I had understood, I think he had told in this thing that
Hmm.
all PWOs are SPAs, but all SPAs are not PWOs.
Exactly, you're right.
You know?
Yes.
And so what is this web worker? What is it doing actually? Started by content that runs in back
Mm-hmm. So web
application.
worker is like it will run in the background. First thing.
Acha. Hmm.
Okay. So what it does is basically while the page is loading, it just gets the data from the server.
Okay.
So the work of the web worker is nothing but independent of the website that is loading. So you have to fetch the data from the server.
Okay. Okay.
So which can compute computations and fetch requests and communicate back messages to the origin web content.
Okay.
So workers is nothing like it's gonna be like running in the background. You can tell like that.
Okay.
All right. And another thing is that see you're using your YouTube, right? Sometimes some part of internet may go down. For example, so where do you stay? So I stay in Chennai. All right. So and there is a data center near Chennai. Okay. If I'm not able to fetch the content from Chennai, it will try to get the content from Hyderabad. So the web worker, what it does is basically it just flips the work whatever I'm asking for. So I'm asking for a like 1 TB of a file. Okay, what web worker does is like it tries to fetch it from the reservoir. Like there are so many things for the storage things. All right, so it will fetch the data and give it to us or do the performance. Okay, let's go further and we'll
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So next question will go for Ayush Gupta.
Okay. So which of the following statement is false regarding Vuex? So the
Mhm.
mutations must be synchronous. Okay. Uh,
Which means which of the following is false? That means this is not false, correct?
yeah.
Mutations or synchronous. I mean,
Yeah.
mutations
Yeah.
must be
Mutations
synchronous,
must
but
be synchronous and actions can be both synchronous
asynchronous.
and
Asynchronous.
asynchronous.
Yeah, good. Then go ahead,
Then the
Ayush.
state provided by Vuex store is shared among all the components of the application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is true, I think.
Okay.
So an action should not directly change the state of the Vuex store and must call a mutation to change the state. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, actually, it's a three-state process. So,
Repeat.
professor is shown a cycle, a circular cycle. So, first state get changed, then it triggers the view, then view triggers the final change. So that the C part is dependent on that.
Okay. So
So
action should not directly change the state of the view store and must call a mutation to change the state. Yeah, that's what the purpose of mutations is, right?
yeah,
I remember.
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
only the direct child components of the app have the access to this dot dollar store variable.
Huh. So this is in contract. I mean, like in contrast to the second question, I think second option, I think. See, all the components of the application view store is accessible, right? And this is saying that only the direct child components of app have access to the store variable. So seems like all the components of application have access to the centralized store. That's the point here, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
only this. But can you explore explain a bit more about D option?
Sure, but we'll go further and then come back here. So when
Okay,
we
no
see,
problem.
we are in practice. I mean, so oh, is this week 7 graded? Okay, so that means this is the last one, right? We need to talk about the child. Do we have an example of child here in this code? I remember one code having a child, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was
Huh,
in the starting.
something like children, but this is not that.
That
This
is
is
test. This only test data one day. Yes,
yeah,
this only.
Priyanka, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but this is not Vuex. This is Vue routers,
Acha, acha, okay.
right? Oh, not sure. Okay, tell me which one you want. I mean, where is the confusion coming from? Which part of the code line of that option?
Like the dollar part, like the this dot dollar store variable. Why this only the child method, not only the child component? Does it mean all components are able to store access the variable?
Am I audible, guys? Hello.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you can access the store as this dot dollar store. Now we can come in mutation using the computation. So probably we might need to check it here. Aish,
Yeah, yeah.
you can check it later. All right. Shall we go ahead now?
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm? I'm not sure exactly. Does anyone else want to tell about what Aish was asking about?
Even I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. So we'll look into that later. Right. So when we probably look into the previous term question papers, then it might be there. Now we'll go
Okay.
to now week 7 graded is done. Now we'll go to week 8. Shall we go, guys? We'll
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
finish. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what is in this week? Okay, this is just some theory I think in this week. Nothing much. Okay. So yes, you take this question. Like yes or Ayush Goel. Ayush Goel can take this.
Yeah.
Yes, team. Goel, are you here? Ayush Goel? No. Yes. Okay, okay.
Uh,
Okay. Yes, you take it.
choose the important aspects of a web API to use.
Hmm.
So the use of HTTP standards, yes,
Hmm.
that is very much required to make API calls
Hmm.
because that is the only protocol we have, right?
Yeah.
The use of standard conventions for listing the data belonging to a particular resource, that is also correct. So we need some standard conventions. Otherwise, how would we able to extract a particular resource?
Exactly. Something like JSON. Is that what you're saying here? Listing the data belonging to a particular resource.
Or I think they are talking about I mean, how we are storing the data. So the variable names and something maybe. So how
Okay.
will you store the data
Hmm.
from a particular resource? So that should be done using in standard conventions. Like you should not put your username to be X,
Hmm.
so it won't be readable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
C is
Yes, I think what I understood from this sentence, please correct me if I'm wrong. What I understood is what he was talking about in the lectures, no? That, for example,
Mhm.
if you want to, like, you should use the words get, patch, delete, so that standard everybody understands what you're doing actually in this page or in this content, rather than writing something which is non-standard and people may take time in understanding.
but
Is it like that or is it different?
get fetch are the only methods we can use, right? We cannot change them. So we will have to use them only. There is no other choice, right?
No, no, in the URLs, in the URLs to
No.
the routers, sort of. So, actually in the lecture he had told something like that.
Okay, I have not seen the lecture of PPT,
Mm-hmm.
but
Fine,
this might
but
be true.
but it's okay, right? Like they are saying that you need to follow the conventions, standard conversions.
Yeah.
It seems pretty true. Okay.
So I'll confirm this tomorrow. I'll watch the
Yeah, we
lecture.
can
I'll
confirm
try to
tomorrow.
watch the lectures.
Yeah, sure, sure.
The option is representation of resources and required behavior of clients. Okay. So by reading it
Okay.
seems to be important aspect.
Yes,
Uh, Not very sure about the technicality of this, but yeah.
bro. Simple. It's saying that. So clients. So I mean, representation of the resources. Like you're having a website, okay, and
Mhm.
you need resources for the website to run, right?
Mhm.
Basically, the data inside of for the website, okay. And how do you get those? Those are being. I mean, those are the behaviors of the clients, right? They are the people. Clients are the one which is going to send us the data or the resources.
Yeah, right.
So it seems like that is representation of resources and required behavior of clients. That's okay.
That is actually purely a theoretical based concept. So once we will see the lecture of FAP, we'll get to know
Mm.
more detail.
Yeah, yeah. And second question is like something you need to like just remember, recall. So GraphQL can be just like another SQL. We have studied DBMS, right? So it supports many languages, and it's not, you don't need to look into go deep instead of GraphQL, right? So this exactly
I
the
think
speak is more
GraphQL is API.
it's API also.
So you said no SQL, like so SQL is
Yeah,
a language.
I'll tell you something. Wait. So GraphQL, a query language for your API.
Yeah, so SQL was a query language for the database.
Database.
So it
Correct.
is for API. Okay.
Hmm?
Okay.
So provides a complete description of the data in your APIs. Give client the power to ask exactly what they need. All right.
So
So
is it like REST?
the biggest difference between the GraphQL and REST is the manner in which the data is sent to the client. Okay, in REST architecture, the client makes a HTTP request and data is sent as HTTP response. While in GraphQL, the client requests data with queries.
Like
See?
Okay,
PWA.
it is like more like an SQL only. Like you
Correct.
can fetch only from database, like in with the help of queries.
Mm-hmm.
But in APIs, we fetch directly the data.
Correct. So
See what
even.
GraphQL, I can just slightly, at least what I understood from the lectures, that
Mhm.
GraphQL actually what it does is, like, whenever we are making our APIs, we have some questions in our mind and we are, actually making responses for that. But if you are looking for some typical response, which, you may not be able to get directly from from your API, you can use via GraphQL, no, you can pose exactly that query, and in fact you may even be able to ask multiple APIs, and it may be able to connect from various APIs and get you your response.
Mhm.
Like for example, he had quoted the example. Supposing if you have if you need weather of Chennai, yeah, for example, and you also want to know how to reach Chennai, for example, I don't know, or what's the exact timing in Chennai. So you need these 2 3 data which may be available not in with one API, yeah. So with GraphQL, you can actually put your query and it will crawl through the network, through the internet, and bring you the required data, something like that. I don't have not worked with it, but this is what I've understood from his
Yeah, yeah.
explanation.
So we just need to know like something is there about regarding GraphQL. That's all they have sent, right? So okay. Even there was not much explanation for the GraphQL, so we can move ahead, shall
Correct,
we?
correct.
Yeah. So which of the following statement is true regarding CMS? So what is a CMS? Content management system. All right. Okay. So let's read about this. Allows a user to create a website without the knowledge of any programming language. Example, WordPress. Every content management system does not necessarily allow user management. right? So, reading the solution, people, do you guys understand what it is? Example WordPress, or we can say like Google site is also one example, right? Can we say like that?
I don't think so, but because that Google site manages user also, no? User base.
See, it's saying that not necessarily allow the user management. Okay,
Okay.
it can and it cannot. It's based on the like how they have done the.
What exactly is WordPress? Like I know that it is used to make websites, but like how it is different from other things.
Okay, first let's complete this question, then we'll go and explore. What do you say? So while doing this question itself, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you only do this question?
Yeah. The next one.
No, this is the third question. Go ahead.
Okay. So which of the following statement is true regarding CMS? A CMS allows an end user to create and manage online content. A CMS user must have a knowledge of front end and back end languages. WordPress is an example of CMS. A CMS must allow user management within an organization. So we have seen that, and now A and C are correct only
Mm-hmm.
because WordPress is an example of CMS, and CMS allows end user to create and manage online content.
Correct.
So it does not necessarily allow user management, and it is not necessary to have both the knowledge of front end and back end languages.
Huh. All right. So now, what is the question here? Like, I think everyone is okay with this question, but what is your doubt here, Aish? What is a WordPress,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Let's see. Let's see. Okay.
we should see the CMS only, like how it is different from normal other, like why it is not necessary to have front end and back end languages.
Uh Fine. Okay, I'm going for both. Okay. So computer software used to manage creation and modification of digital component. Okay. So seems like WordPress is still loading. So what are we looking at here?
Just more about CM.
See that measures quality payment certification program. Okay, WordPress is loaded. Seems like we okay. Simply create any kind of website, no code, no manuals, no limits. Fine.
Like of in Canva.
Yeah, you can say like that. Hey, this is more like Google Sites only, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. So so we can type it whatever we want. It's like we don't need to put H1 tag or like other things. So it's gonna give us a website, plug and play websites or something like that, right?
Yeah. Just upload your content.
Hmm. All right. Coming back to this, so it's okay, right? Like so all that we need to know is content management system uh, may or may not allow the user management, right? For example, we can have Wikipedia. Do we need to log in order to view the content in Wikipedia? No, right? Not necessarily.
Not necessary.
Huh. But in order to post something or change something inside of Wikipedia, we might need to log in and do something. I'm not sure though, but it's fine. It's not so much of thing. So shall we go to the next one, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ishita, can you take this question?
Yeah, okay. So which of the following statements is are true regarding REST API?
Hmm.
So an API is used to decouple the front end and the back end.
Hmm. What does that
Okay.
mean?
What does the term decouple mean?
To separate
Uh,
separate
Separate. Yeah, it is used to separate because we don't want the user to access more than what is required. And an API is primarily built for and used by an end user. No.
That is
um,
actually used by developer to develop
Yeah,
more of front end, right?
hmm,
to get the data easily.
okay. So an API defines multiple endpoints. Yeah, this is also true.
yeah, it creates fetching, creating, updating.
Yeah,
Hmm.
CRUD operations on every aspect.
So B is
And the
incorrect because API is not built for the user. It's like it's built by the developer, as you have said.
No, actually, it is saying it is used by an end user only, but it is used by end user as well as developer also.
No, 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 no. End user doesn't use APIs. End user use the app. The
Actually,
other,
Correct,
API
correct.
doesn't contain the front end which will be used by the end user.
No, no. API you see is basically only for data management. No. So API is only working at the back end. So it is only for the developer. End user is only a user of this information. He
yes,
is not like managing everything, Piche.
yeah. So just like if you want to create a same mobile app for iOS, Android, and web, right? So
Hmm.
there are different programming languages to do that, right? So what you will do is first you will create a backend of it. You will create APIs, and then you will have three different developers: iOS developer, Android developer, and a web developer. And then they
Okay.
will use that API to create the front end, and then that
Okay.
front end will be used by the user.
actually
All
the
right.
main definition of API is to get a data from one app to another app. This is the main work of it of API is. So like if we are trying to fetch a data from some website, we have that API of that website, and we can fetch
Hmm.
the data from that API only if we want to get the data of that a website in our app which we want to develop.
Is that okay? Are the discussion done, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, so option A is correct, and option B is not correct because it is built by the developer and used for fetching the information, uh, and not used by the end user. And an API defines multiple endpoints. Yeah, this is also true. So A and C, only A and C are true.
Mhm. You're right. Okay. So next question. Goel, are you here? Ayush Goel?
Yeah, Gokul, I am here.
Yeah, yeah. I called you last time. Fine. Try
Yeah.
this question.
So, which of the which of the following statement is a true regarding RESTful APIs?
Hmm.
Okay, a single endpoint generally deals with a single entity. Uh, yeah, actually, yes, it is like a update will do only update only. We have studied in the last question only. Like fetching and creating are the different endpoints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's get and post. Right.
Yeah, and endpoint is an API cannot perform a write operation on the database. An endpoint in an API cannot perform a write operation on the database.
Why not?
No, yeah, it is false. Actually, we can write, we can update everything we can do.
Yes.
Yeah, and endpoint in an API can just be meant for read only operations.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Obviously, the get method, right? Get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
request.
And none of the
Yes.
above is false.
Hmm.
Only
Good.
I have one question in this. I
Hmm.
think in the earlier question, question number 4, they said REST API, yeah, and here
Hmm.
they're telling RESTful API. Is there any difference? Why he is writing like that actually?
No. No. So, what is the full form for REST?
Representational state transfer
State
protocol.
transfer. So, REST and RESTful. or ideally the same. If you have the doubt, REST versus RESTful API.
It is just, I think, plural and singular thing.
Wait a minute, seems like there is a difference. Let's just check it. All right, just check that up. Seems like this is a progressive web app, right? The component is loading little by little. Fine. Okay. So REST API develops API to an endpoint. I mean, to enable client-server interaction. Fine. RESTful API web applications follow REST architecture, providing interoperability between systems. Use web services and is based on the request response. Working is completely based on REST applications. Oh. Okay, this seems interesting. Look at this. So format can be like this. Okay, and so guys, you remember? So earlier we used to send HTTP. I mean, Yash and Ayush, you remember? We used to give a response as HTML files, right?
Flask
Yes.
में ना, in Flask.
In
Yeah,
Flask, we
we
used to
used to
return
get
HTML files.
import. Yeah, we used to import request.
You're right. Okay, so on in RESTful, what they usually return is basically JSON. Okay,
Okay,
it can also
okay.
be text, it can also be HTTP. But see, in terms of REST API, whatever we did in mad1 is REST API. Okay,
Okay.
so RESTful is going to be like we are going to basically not send the HTTP, but instead we are gonna like use some JSON formatted data. So it says
Yeah.
like minimum bandwidth, fine, whatever, and this consumes less bandwidth. Okay, all features of REST architecture along with some additional unique features.
So it is better than REST and
Mm-hmm.
bigger than REST API.
We can say, fine. This is simpler. RESTful is like simpler with more features. Seems like no understanding. Okay, there is something called as SOAP. Okay, REST uses HTTP requests like get put blah 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 to manage CRUD. When you read, when you start reading about REST, you would also like to read about RESTful and know the difference between the RESTful is API adhering to those constraints. Okay, look at this exactly. So REST is a set of constraints. RESTful is an API satisfying those constraints.
Okay, clear.
We'll see what else is there. Blah 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 blah. Only blah blah things are there. Let's see if we have any other material on that. Though the architecture of both REST and RESTful API is similar, they vary with a slight difference. The REST API follows all the rules of REST architecture. Okay, but RESTful is not necessarily. See, it has a client server stateless cacheable layer system with a uniform interface. Okay, so this is for the REST, right? So REST is nothing but the client server model, correct, guys?
What did you say?
Yeah.
So REST API is like a client server based model,
Correct.
right? So RESTful, they are saying something like have all the features of the REST architecture with a unique additional feature. API has a separate system to handle application information. REST API, okay, I don't know, like these guys are like giving more and more content on that. All right. So one thing we can say is like just like how I told you, right? So the conclusion is that see, Open API is basically JSON, right? You guys remember? Yes, last time we did,
Yeah,
right? The documentation and which just returns the JSON formatted data, right?
yeah.
So RESTful is going to be like JSON data, and the REST API is like returning, the HTTP, the whole HTML files and stuff like that, bigger content. So,
Yeah,
so
correct.
yeah, that's all to be like. Maybe when you guys watch the lecture, you might understand something more. Okay, let's just read this. REST API consists of multiple, okay, deals with single entity or resources, and API endpoint can be made. This is fine. That is done. Go ahead, Priyanka. You want to do this?
Okay. Which of the following statements is are false in the context of REST? The
Mm-hmm.
HTTP GET method should not trigger write operation on the data. This is correct. So this
Correct.
is not the correct option.
Hmm.
Then the HTTP post method should not trigger a write operation. This is false because this is exactly what it is meant for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now HTTP delete method should be safe. Okay.
So, what does
Uh,
safe mean?
safe. What I had read.
There were two things I remember. One is safe
In
and
idempotent
idempotent
and
and safe.
yeah, I
So, which
think
is
safe.
not safe? Safe is like, it won't make any changes to the database.
I think that is idempotent. That is not safe.
No, no, no. Idempotent is when you repeat the same action again and again. Okay. So, it's not going to do much of a thing.
Any of the harm to the database. So, for example, if you are deleting a unique ID,
Mm-hmm.
so if you will delete it twice, no matter, right?
No
Because
matter
when you
twice
will
or.
do it first time, it will get deleted, and second time, if you do the again, it will not affect your database.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
that is
that's why
idempotent.
delete is idempotent. Correct.
Yeah.
Delete method is not safe because you may end up deleting some critical information that you may not able to restore later.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I understand, safe is something, how much changes it can ultimately make to a
No,
database,
no,
correct?
no, no, no. Safe is that you're not at all going to touch the database, not at all going to change the database,
Yes.
which is
Acha.
get
So
request.
only get will be safe, huh? Then nothing else
Yes.
will
Post
be safe.
post will also be safe, I guess, because it will just add, maybe you may add a irrelevant entry, but it will not really delete or something, or you may not be able to hamper the database with post. I need to just confirm it may do.
Yeah, I think we have to confirm.
Okay.
Words are not cacheable. I think yes, only I think get is cacheable. I think rest all nothing is cacheable. So this is true. So that means not the correct option. So that means our correct options are A. What was that? B and C.
See, yeah, they are incorrect options. Is that fine? Hi,
Yep.
Ishita.
Yeah.
So, shall we move to the next question? Yeah, who want to do this?
Yeah,
Gupta, Ash Gupta, can you do this question?
yeah.
Okay,
Which of
just
the
speak in
following?
more about theory only. Let's like we have like 10 more minutes. We'll finish it off. Come on, go ahead,
Yeah, which
Ash.
of the following can be considered the best practices for defining the endpoints of a REST API?
Hmm.
The HTTP verbs are discouraged and won't should be used. Okay. The appropriate HTTP status code should be used while sending back the responses. The JSON format should not be used for sending or receiving the data. The documentation need not list all the available endpoints.
So,
Uh,
which are the following can be? Go ahead. Yes.
so I was just saying that yes, post method is unsafe actually. The same methods are only the read only ones. So
That's what I said.
yeah,
Safe is only get.
yeah, get head and options are the same.
Yeah, correct.
Hmm. Even I had the doubt, but okay, fine. So coming back here. So it's saying like what are the best practices for defining the endpoints in REST API? So HTTP verbs are discouraged. What are the HTTP verbs?
Mm, get post.
Get, post, put, patch, delete. All these
Yeah,
are
yeah,
verbs, right?
yeah,
So they're saying that verbs are discouraged and nouns should be used. What is this?
yeah. That is English. I
Actually,
don't
from
know,
lectures
sir.
to I understood just ulta, that you should use patch and those type of things rather than nouns. But I guess, okay.
Okay, I'm just still wondering about this. Okay. Endpoints, right? Okay. So basically, endpoints is okay. I'll show you an example. Example, HTTP colon blah 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 1800, right? So we'll say like add a card. See, this is how the endpoint should look like, and not just add.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In Flask also.
Exactly. I want you guys to like sync with it. So get the
What you were
point.
telling?
So this is a noun, right? I mean, add a card. So last time we did the application, right? Add-on application, Priyanka.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
So this is the endpoint. So endpoint should be like, it should have nouns, like, it should be sentences. Then instead of like just add. So just add, it doesn't give a meaning or sound good, right? What does
yeah.
add
It
mean?
should be
okay, okay.
string.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first point. And then coming to the second point, the appropriate HTTP status code should be used while sending back the response. That's ideal, right? We are supposed to send the HTTP status code appropriately, right?
Yeah, yeah. That is.
Correct.
Fine. So next third point is JSON format should not be used for sending or receiving the data. That's the wrong. Like we are supposed to send the JSON format. That's the whole world is moving towards JSON, right?
Yeah, yeah. But we have seen like we can in REST API we can send only the HTTP data. We just
HTTP?
HTTP matlab we can send only request of in HTTP format, not JSON. In RESTful API we can send JSON and all, but in REST API we can send only HTTP.
Now they're talking about the best practices. We can also send JSON format. Okay.
Okay,
Uh, so you can also send what? You will send the HTML files along with the JSON format, right? I mean, you remember how we
okay.
render the applications? Like, so once you have the login page, you go to the dashboard page. So inside the dashboard page, along with that, you will send the data to be rendered in the dashboard page, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
So
so
we have
let's
sent both the things.
yeah, let's consider that this is not the case. Like JSON format should be used for sending and receiving the data.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. So what's the
Okay,
next?
okay. The documentation need not list all the available endpoints.
That's not the case. We should
So
give all the
yeah,
available endpoints, right? That's why the
yeah, yeah,
documentation is. All right. Is that okay for everyone?
yeah.
We have like any doubts on this,
No,
guys?
it's fine.
I have a doubt in C.
Okay, tell me.
The format should not be used for sending or receiving the data.
Which is wrong now.
Mm,
I mean, see, they are asking for the best practices.
acha, okay. But in REST API, we don't use JSON, right?
No, not necessarily. REST usually uses HTTP, but I mean that's where the confusion is coming. Like, what is the difference between REST and RESTful API? So we just have one thing, but data format of REST is based on HTTP, and this based on what is HTTP? Okay, I'll search something. Wait, can we send JSON with HTTP? Okay, post. We need to use HTTP post method. See,
Huh,
and
okay.
it's the correct MIME type of the body. So, see, JSON can also be sent to HTTP. See, the HTTP is nothing but what is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and there is something called as FTP. Do you know file transfer protocol?
File transfer
Yeah.
protocol.
Okay, so these are just protocols like HTTP and FTP or the HTTPS. These are just the protocols, okay, over which using like this is consider that this is like a tunnel, okay, or a cable,
Hmm.
okay. Through this cable, you can send HTML files also. You can send CSS files also. You can send JSON data also,
Okay.
or the voice. VoIP. It's called as Voice over Internet Protocol.
Hmm.
That's another thing.
Actually, the way
Okay.
that written, the difference is written na, like we can only send HTTP, and in that RESTful thing, it is written HTTP, JSON, and other files also. So that
Uh,
create the
yeah.
confusion.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So you don't need to
Got it
confuse here,
now.
all right? Yeah,
Yeah, got
good.
it now.
Hmm. So okay, next one. Fast guys. Okay, last question. Nice. Yes, take this question.
Okay. Which of the following statement is false regarding permalinks?
What is a
Per-
permalink? Shall I just read down solution first?
yeah. A
Mm-hmm.
permalink, also known as permanent link, is meant to be the same throughout the lifetimes of the resource. They are not always
Oh,
human readable and can consist of arbitrary characters like Google Doc access link is an example of a permalink. Okay, okay.
huh.
So just like we have drive links we share with people.
For
So
example, even this itself, right? This itself is
yeah,
a permalink.
yeah, they're meant to be same for forever.
Yeah, forever.
Okay,
Okay,
so let's go to the options. We need to find the false options. So definitely A is correct. Same thing. They are not expected to change for the lifetime. A
correct.
permanent is always human readable. No,
Not the case.
the current link which is opened is not human readable as you can see.
Yeah,
C is a permalink can be used to identify a resource uniquely. Yes.
correct. Mm-hmm.
An access link to a Google Doc is an example of permalink. Yes.
That's correct. So yeah, so API endpoints are human readable, right? So this also ideally looks like an API endpoint, but which is not, right? This is a permalink. I think it's okay, right, guys? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we shall call it a day now. Any other questions on this thing? There's nothing there in this. Okay. Tomorrow we'll
We're meeting in the morning.